want to focus on the things that have made us good all year long, an intensity that they can't match. And the other thing is the ultimate disrespect is when somebody takes what's yours. And this is our game, so that makes it so personal. Dominate on 3. 1, 2, 3, dominate.
I need 60 minutes. 60 minutes to me. 60 minutes. No business, no mercy. Nothing but stop bubble. You got me. We're going to ring the bell. We're going to ring that championship bell. Ding, motherfucking dog.
Here comes the pressure. Penix fires over the middle, and it is intercepted. Mikey Sandristil going the other way.
The legend of Mike Sandristil continues to grow.
JJ takes the snap, flips the ball to Roman Wilson after he takes a knee, and Michigan, the Wolverines, have won a national championship.
First and goal. Mahomes flings it. It's there! Hardman! Jackpot! Kansas City!
This was the Andy Reid special we talked about. He was saving all day. He's going to fake a motion to go across. And at that moment, he turns and goes back. Hardman, who they didn't have, right?
On this touchdown throw to Mecole Hardman, who started the season as a Jet.
And now, welcome everyone to the Huddle Up Podcast.
Last week we said in the locker room, nobody but the guys in that locker room knew how good this group can be. Now the whole damn country knows.
Hello, everyone. Welcome Huddle Up Podcast. It is Tuesday, January the 21st, 2025. And you can follow us on all of our social media. We're at Huddle Up Podcast, YouTube, Facebook, Blue Sky, Twitter, TikTok, because, well, it's back, still here. We are live. You can get us on Instagram at Huddle Up Podcast Inc. and on Twitch at Huddle Up Inc. You can also get our merchandise over on tpublic.com. You can get that link directly on any of our social medias by hitting the link tree. You can also get it on all of our podcast feeds as well to hit that link tree. And do subscribe on all podcast platforms. We'd certainly appreciate that. The show's grown immensely this year. I'd love to see that continue as we go through 2025. Certainly do appreciate all of those who have been with us along the way, including our pal Devin in the comments already. So welcome in Devin and anybody else who is following along with us live. Not going to lie. Thought about mailing this one in. Thought about taking a week off, but had something happen differently yesterday. I wouldn't have done that, so I'm going to be fair to the Huddle Up audience. I'm not going to treat you that way, but just the three of us for now. Ernest will be parking the van later on in the show and joining us. Mike, are you okay over there? There's a lot of noise going on. You all right?
I'm okay. My wife may be shooting me or popping bubbles that came in a package. I don't know.
All right.
Well, I'm sorry. I just thought she might have been stacking all of Jim's teams that made the playoffs, and then he still thinks he has the right to bitch. But go ahead.
I mean, all one of them. Okay, I understand.
I'm sorry. What?
Calm down, Ernest.
We're really doing this? Like, we can do this. I've called you names on your old.
Well,
show.
I mean, look. Well, granted, yes, I have planted my flag in the NFL in different locations on the Student of the Game podcast. There we go. Yeah, I mean, obviously the main house, the main living quarters, they haven't really sniffed the playoffs since well earlier this season, but we press on. Mikey B, how are you this week?
We're real good. We're going to talk about some things that occurred this weekend that may have been a little bit more obvious than we knew would have happened.
All right. Stay tuned for that.
Absolutely diddly squat.
I like that. A little teaser action going on there. Student of the Game, Kyle Nash, how we doing?
Hey, listen, an honor, joy, and privilege to come in. The best playoff game of the tournament happened this past weekend. And though it may not be our favorite ending, I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about because there's an awful lot of stupid out there in social media. And no, I'm not referring to entitled fans that had a pair of Harbaughs, a team from Michigan, and a team from Indiana all make the goddamn playoffs and then have the nerve to write a letter to the sports gods. I'm just saying.
Look, man. I tried everything I could, and it came up a bit short this year. But yeah, I like Devin. I'll agree with that. And we'll get one thing out of the way. Fuck Ohio State. Yeah,
I mean listen, nobody's mad at that statement, Devin.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. We support and condone that statement in all of its forms. So if you are with us in the live feed, make sure you interact with us as Devin is already doing. We would certainly appreciate that throughout the course of the program. But let's get right into it, guys. College Football Playoff National Championship last night. The Ohio State Buckeyes, a 34-23 victor over the Fighting Irish. The number 8 seed Buckeyes claim the Big Ten's second straight national championship. First time that has occurred since the 1940s. Quite an interesting stat number that I saw today that is kind of hard to believe, but it is true. We'll just start with the game. We'll talk about some of the outliers, what does it mean for both sides, but the game itself, student of the game, Kyle Nash, thoughts on the game, takeaways from the game.
Boy, howdy. Listen, and I get that they're going to say, oh, it was a blowout out there, which, I mean, it technically was. And listen, credit to Ohio State for having arguably the hardest road in front of them to get to a championship and taking care of goddamn business. I mean, we don't have to like them, but boy, howdy, did they do the job. And the only one that did a better job at thinning the field was Notre Dame. And listen, I know people are going to make the statements that Notre Dame didn't belong. I know that people may suspect that I was going to make that statement tonight. But in a world where SMU and Indiana and Penn State, when I mentioned SMU because they just belong to be mentioned. We'll start that way. But mostly Indiana and Penn State were eliminated thanks to Notre Dame being that baseline team. Listen, if you're so fucking good, you should be able to beat us. We lost to a G5 team. You couldn't. Fuck yourself. You don't belong. This is why I have no problem with Notre Dame getting to where it got. It's not Notre Dame's fault. It's the committee's.
Fair. Mikey B.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot to say that opening drive was worth the price of admission.
Oh, it was a thing of beauty. I wish it would have continued throughout the game, but
Jim, I think a 45-minute drive is a bit greedy. So
I mean,
the damn thing by itself took us.
Yeah, I would have taken one. I think it was the fastest quarter in college football national championship history.
I'm not prepared to rule that out, brother. But listen, I land the plane with this: the price of admission in that drive.
My wife's coming to my aid in the comments. Ryan Day still a pain in the ear bitch, and hasn't beaten Michigan. So,
but you know what though, and people are going to hate this. The guy showed growth since making those mistakes.
He did. Like they did what they had to do. They could have easily collapsed and hid and gotten bounced at home in week 1 of the postseason, and they didn't. So,
well, hey, it's enough for Ryan Day to become the Cowboys' next head coach. Anyways, I'll leave it at that.
Oh no, the Cowboys are going to hire Brian Schottenheimer because that's the most Cowboys thing that can happen.
It wouldn't Jason Garrett technically be the most Cowboys?
Well,
Kellen Moore.
Good answer. Actually, it's a great answer, Mike.
Haven't I suffered enough this
week? They're still in the playoffs, so they won't get hired this week.
Well, yeah, I was going to say exactly. If I have it my way, he'll get hired next Monday. More on that later. But my a colleague of mine at work was like, I don't like that you're talking to our offensive coordinator during the postseason. I said, my guy, I'm not happy that the Cowboys are talking to your offensive coordinator. Period. End of sentence. But yeah, it's I'm not happy about that. But I guess it seems like they're not going to hire him. But yeah, we'll hammer that when it gets there. Mikey B, Thoughts, takeaways from the game itself.
Well, on the show last week, I made the comment in Notre Dame would win if they won the middle 8 minutes. Unfortunately, they got outscored 14-0 in the middle 8 minutes.
Yeah, not great, Bob.
It was one of those things. Unfortunately, it was just one of those things where that last drive right before the half really felt like it was a backbreaker.
Sucks.
It sucked for me too, bud. Trust me. This is the psychopath that decided to take Notre Dame plus 13.5 or 14.5. So I would have won that bet. I had him plus 11.5 in the first half, lose on that 27-second left in the first half touchdown. Would have rolled the rest of it. So from a gambling perspective, I feel your pain. From a watching of football perspective, the thing I learned here is sometimes you don't have to have great quarterback play if you have enough explosive weapons that can go get the football. Will Howard, good, not great. He did the one thing that you can say he didn't have to do. He didn't turn the football over, which was the key. Not giving the ball away. Yes, they had turnovers, but it wasn't Howard throwing an interception, throwing a bad pick to give the momentum back. I mean, great play by the Notre Dame defense on that end around to knock the ball out, to give themselves an opportunity to get back in that football game. And not to preface what we're going to talk about, because I know we're going to get there when we talk about the Detroit Lions. Marcus Freeman kind of took a little bit of program out of the Dan Campbell situation. The kicking the field goal on 4th and goal from the 7. We're going to go for it, but we're not going to leave our offense out there. We're going to have a up man try to throw a pass. I mean, I think everybody in the stadium knew that they were going for it there. If that's the case, I don't know why Riley Leonard's not out there.
The sad thing about the fake punt is they had Steve Angeli out there, who I thought they probably should have brought in to try to move the ball downfield at the end of the first half. But Angeli hit Faison in the hands. And unfortunately, for one of the few times this year, Jordan Faison's hands weren't attached to his body, apparently. Bad time for it to happen. It wasn't for a team that runs those trick plays, and we saw it with the both 2-point conversions, usually runs them so cleanly. That one, not so much. And like I said, the play was still there. It hit the receiver in the hands. It just fell short. So it was a night of those sort of execution mistakes for Notre Dame. You had the fumble in the first half that basically stalled their third drive in the second quarter. Like, it was some uncharacteristic things that the Irish did, unfortunately, at a bad time.
A lot of 50-50s that ended up becoming like 85-15s.
Yeah.
Well, listen, can we give some credit to the Ohio State weapons, because they're good? I think Will Howard's gotten a bit of a bad rap too, just from the Oregon game and the way that went at the end. For those of us who saw what damage he could do in K-State, he's not. I'm with you, Mike. I think good is he's above average. Definitely. Is he great? Probably. I'll take him over Carson Beck.
Sure.
That's fair.
An example. Sure. I could probably think of others, but
his final stat line in the national title game: 17 of 21 for 231 and 2 scores. I still think the key here is the explosive weapon for Ohio State. The run game ran for 214 yards combined.
Yeah,
I know. Howard had 57 of those. I'm not trying to take anything away from Will Howard,
of course,
the player. But we've talked about on this show extensively about a gentleman who got bounced from the playoffs. He's a quarterback. Will Howard runs the ball effectively like Lamar Jackson does in the NFL. But I want to preface this that Will Howard is a quarterback.
Right. That's fair. I think the biggest thing, at least, and obviously I look at this game much more from a Notre Dame perspective than I do an Ohio State perspective. The injuries to the Notre Dame, especially defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
There was questions of will it catch up to them, and on January 20th, 2025, it did. There was certainly points in that game where I would have loved to have where I would love to have Benjamin Morrison in the defensive backfield. There was definitely points in that game where I would love to have Riley Mills on the defensive end, and some of the other pass rushers and linebackers and cornerbacks that we've lost along the way. In a year where you've lost, I think it's 16 players to what turned out to be season-ending injuries. Obviously, there were some as the year and playoffs progressed that were short-term injuries, but when you only have one game left, a short-term injury is a season ender. And I think the majority of those were on the defensive side of the ball. So to the tune of 214 yards, Mike?
Yeah.
214 rushing yards. You saw a passing attack that was extremely efficient. That's one of the things where I go, man, would have been awesome to be you're never going to be at 100% at this point of the year. Would have loved to have been it at even 70% for this game, but it doesn't take credit away from Ohio State. They did what they had to do. Notre Dame came out and punched him in the mouth to start that game in a brilliant opening drive. Ohio State punched back, and then they punched again, and then they punched again. And it wasn't until the second half that Notre Dame kind of refound themselves, and they made a game of it. But
they tried to throw some pocket sand,
Sure. They did whatever they could, and it worked up until it didn't. So, it's a bummer. I thought it was a really great game. When I look at this season, it's a bummer ending. I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute, but the game itself, Ohio State did what they needed to do. They were the better team last night, and that cannot be taken away from them whatsoever. They earned their national championship. Not that Ryan Day's job was in danger after the win against Tennessee in Columbus to start the playoffs, but they put a firm stamp on the fact that he is fine and is going nowhere. So to that, go ahead.
I mean, I will say this: I'll push back one thing on Ohio State here. 31-7, lowest point of the night. It takes a 3rd and 8 with about 2.5 minutes left that your corner gets beat really badly on basically a 50-50 ball is what it should have been. If not, Notre Dame would have gotten the football back with a shot to tie the game.
Yeah, I agree.
It really feels like the killer instinct from about the midway point of the third quarter on wasn't there. I get that the turnover gave Notre Dame the ball back, but there were parts of that game where if your run game is working as effectively as it has been all night, like you almost really feel like there's no reason why, and no offense, this game probably could have ended 49-7 if they would have
been
not
worse.
Taken their foot off the gas. Like it really feels like if there's a situation where comfortable may have to come into question, I almost think that this is a moment where you're like, no lead in any game in college football can be known as safe anymore. Because Notre Dame didn't give up. They got punched in the mouth. They got back up. They were within one stop on 3rd and 9 away from getting the football back with 2 minutes left.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I just think that if you're Ryan Day, be excited about this, be happy that you won the national title, be happy that you're going to have a job next year.
But Ohio State anyway.
Right. Yeah, he would have had a job somewhere.
Yeah, Toledo needs a head coach.
I say people are granted it's West Virginia, but people are still hiring Rich Rodriguez. So Ryan Day would have had a job somewhere.
That's true. I'm just saying it's for as great of a game as Ohio State played, and it was a great job by the staff to get them ready and the players to make plays. The fourth quarter really just felt like we've already won. Who cares?
Isn't hubris something we've talked about from Ryan Day on the show, just like it is, though, about Freeman's ability to rile up his dudes? This is what we saw. That's what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 100%. It kind of felt going into halftime like Ohio State had that, we have already won this game vibe to them. They came out and scored some a couple more points, 10 more points out of the half, but they kind of had that vibe and swagger as well. I think if Notre Dame could have gotten a stop to start the second half, I think the story may go a little bit differently, but unfortunately we won't know that. So to kind of begin to put the bow on this in the college football season, and I forgot to print out the document. I could try to pull it up as well in terms of what we got right and what we got wrong to go into the season.
Oh God, it's going to be embarrassing.
I have it.
It's going to be brutal. Well, we'll get to that in a second, but Mike, I'll start with you, then I'll go to Kyle. What does this win mean for Ohio State and Ryan Day?
Well, for Ryan Day, I think you put him on. I'm not going to say a pedestal because that's the wrong word. It puts him on a spot where if he can just find a way to beat Michigan the next year or two, he could arguably be one of the better Ohio State coaches potentially of all time, especially if he can try to run this back and get to another Final Four potential national title game appearance.
Okay.
But for the program, I think this is a thing where it's great, but then you have to remember, did this team not spend like the second or third most in NIL this year? I thought I saw a stat
I think
that
it
said
was
they spent
most. I think it was over 20 million.
So I'm going to use this analogy, and it's fair because of what's going on right now in Major League Baseball. Sorry, Kyle, baseball talk on a football show. I'll make it quick.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
When you can defer $1.9 billion, you better win the World Series.
Yeah.
If you're going to spend the most, you better win the national title.
Yeah. I made this point on the Earnestly Speaking pod for the Student of the Game report. Listen, the Yankees maximize the salary numbers basically every year in Major League Football, and they ain't won a World Series since 2009. Take that for your baseball talk, motherfucker. So
I said the guys that I play with every Sunday, we had a conversation last night after Tanner Scott signed with the Dodgers. That's another $47 million in deferred money. The fact that they have more money being deferred than teams will spend in the next 5 years is astronomical. So it's like, if they're going to spend the money,
Houston get involved. Oh, sorry, you meant astronomical, not the Astro. Sorry,
not astronomical.
My bad. Because then I would ask about cheating and everything, and
trash cans.
Astronomical, I like that.
Trash cans.
Weird.
So I think if you're going to spend it, the goal has to be to at least get to where you were at last night and being in the national title game. Mission successful. Put a check mark next to it, and see how many of these guys are leaving. See how many of these guys are going to go to the NFL. You already saw that their backup quarterback transferred to Cal earlier today. That was announced. Yep. We'll see the pieces that Ryan Day can get to stay. We can get the pieces that Ryan Day can get to come in through the transfer portal, through high school seniors that are coming in. Step in the right direction, but now the next step for Ryan Day as the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes is now you have all the pressure in the world because you are the defending national champions. Go defend it.
There you go. Student of the game?
No, I can't put it any better, a lot of that than this, except for maybe two things. For Ryan Day himself, you think I was joking earlier about the Dallas Cowboys coaching vacancy, and I was specifically about that one. We all know that they're going to hire Deion Sanders. No, we don't. But
we got scared. Well, the collective we of some people got a little scared there for a minute, but that seems to have been smoke and mirrors.
It always was. No, but listen, for me, man, I really think, and call me nutty if you want, we'll never know because he actually pulled the goddamn thing off. I thought that Ryan Day was in trouble unless he pulled down a natty trophy, which he did. I really think there would have been something going on with Ohio State. And if I'm Ryan Day, call him a pointy-haired, you know what, however many times you wish to do so, he would be just as justified to go, well, you care. And I don't know that Kyle's their athletic director, but it seemed appropriate, and walk for all the bullshit he gets from this fan base. I found a way to make and preemptively. I found a way to make Ryan Day sympathetic on your show. Of course, you played that bite, but for me, I think the Nat Championship keeps Ryan Day there, whether that's a pro or con, depending on your point of view. Those are the facts of the case. They are not in dispute. Also, to the point for all the money that Byrne made about the cash being thrown down. And we'll get into talks about cash in just a little bit, I'm sure, talking about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. But because they won the Natty, all that money spent isn't just being spent now, though. It's an investment for players wanting to come to that university to play football first, especially since they're retaining Ryan Day at this point in time. By the way, side note, Jim, since your wife, being a lady, is a Fighting Irish fan, does that make her a Notre Dame?
Fair. I will start this by saying that the because there was media, like reports and confirmations held by his family, that about how the family was treated in the aftermath of the Michigan loss, and I am no Ryan Day fan. For those that
oh no, I'm so surprised.
For those who have tuned into this program, but what he and his family and his kid have endured post that loss by the Ohio State fan base that is now cheering him is absolutely pathetic and uncalled for. So I will certainly get that out of the way. Not that it needed to be said, but I will say it nonetheless. I think for Ohio State, this is cementing something that, in today's college football world, you can do. When you spend $20+ million, somewhere between 20 and 30 per the reports, this is what it should get you, right? Like if this is what a NIL collective and the best college football talent that money can buy, if that's the world that we currently live in, and the
SEC, Jim,
well, not anymore, the Wild West of college football, that Nick Saban is vehemently trying to get under control as he goes on rants on College Game Day. The world as it is now, this is what you want. This is what it can do for you. And they did exactly what their collective and their coaching staff and everybody bought in for, literally and figuratively.
Yes.
And something that kind of gets lost in all of this is the talk about Ryan Day and the talk about the weapons is a guy that they brought in who went from the next big thing in college coaching to the guy who's going to change the NFL world to, is this guy even really a coach anymore? Chip Kelly, the Chip Kelly, redemption tour swung through Columbus and landed, and I'm sure he's going to get a head coaching job again somewhere. But the job he did, kind of reinventing the Ohio State offense, shouldn't go without being mentioned either. But, they earned every bit of a national championship that they won. So on the other side, what does this loss mean for Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman? And Kyle, I'll start with you this time.
Ka-ching, motherfucker. That's all it means. That is all the fuck it means. And listen, Jim, I know, Kyle's anti-Notre Dame. Bullshit. Okay, I have said on this very show.
Man.
Wait, do that one again?
Everyone has a price for the $1 million man.
God bless you. But I don't know what better compliment to give Jim. I just went with the bell. Yeah, no, everybody's got a price. But here's the thing. Notre Dame doesn't have to divide theirs among a conference. And listen, I've said it on this show and I will maintain it. I think it's better for college football if Notre Dame's in the conference. I don't mean the shit's better for Notre Dame, okay? And as much as you and Matt have fought me in that as if I disagree with it, I just did this on the Mark Moses show today on 1560 The Fan in Melbourne. Like, do you have Charlie Sheen in the sound bites?
Duh, winning.
No.
Greed is good.
Oh, even better. So with all that in mind, close enough. Bud Fox for the win. I know that's Gordon Gekko, but if you seen watch the goddamn movie and learn who Bud Fox is. Anyways, the fact that they can draw in all the cash that they have and they still have a coach as badass and goddamn beautiful. I said it. It's a handsome human being.
You ain't wrong. You ain't wrong. Facts is facts.
You know, I mean, granted, the biggest hater of his quarterback is the quarterback's mother. We saw that out there on the social medias with the constant messaging of "you suck." I get it.
Stay humble.
Hey, listen, it took my mom 8 years to like my Facebook page as a student of the game. I get it. But listen, if you expect me to be any bit sympathetic for Notre Dame, and keep in mind, I still haven't even used the phrase G5 yet on your motherfucking schedule, okay? I'm
you
not
did earlier, but we'll ignore it.
No, I mean in this particular
in this
diatribe.
Yeah. Diatribe. Excellent job. Well done, Mikey Byrne. So with all that being said, no, don't cry for Argentina, because here's the thing. They got enough goddamn money in all these games that they could take that money and turn around and spend about as much as Ohio State just did that we're griping about. So no, stop. The future is bright as that gold helmet, motherfucker.
Good way to put it. Mikey B, what does this loss mean for Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman?
Hunger. Because now you've been there. Now you know what it feels like to get on that plane, you know, to get back into your home base and have to, you know, hug your seniors, tell them thank you for everything that you did. Thank you for putting your body on the line and all of that. And now you got a reason to go out there and find the pieces that you feel like you didn't have in that game. A true number one wide receiver. Whomever is going to play quarterback next year, I believe Riley Leonard's a senior, correct?
He is. Yeah, Leonard's done. Probably CJ Carr is going to be the leader in the clubhouse.
Hopefully their mom doesn't tell them they suck. You know,
that too.
Yeah.
So I feel like, especially from Marcus Freeman's perspective, and that's where I go with my thought process is he's going to sit here now and he's going to know this feeling and he's not going to want to feel it again. So he's going to do exactly what Kyle said. Cha-ching, motherfucker. He's going to go find the pieces to improve this defense. He's going to go find receivers, because as much as I gave Penn State shit about losing a football game to Notre Dame, having receivers catch approximately 0 passes,
and rightly so.
I think Notre Dame's probably got to go get a couple of playmakers on the wide receiver front to get themselves, I'm not going to say over a hump, because they're already over the hump, but to make themselves more explosive.
Balanced, yeah.
The run game is always good at Notre Dame. It's always going to be good because of the scheming that the offensive coordinator and that Marcus Freeman use. Great offensive line play.
A tradition of recruiting awesome offensive line, Mike.
Correct.
You got to give that credit.
Absolutely. So they're going to find the pieces, and I use this is the motivation. If I don't know what your guys' schedule is for next year, I could probably bring it up real quick.
It's manageable. It's certainly manageable.
I'm going to say, if I am a coach, and depending on what Marcus Freeman does in the transfer portal and in NIL deals, I don't know that I want to play Notre Dame next year. At least not the first couple weeks, because those guys might be coming out really pissed off, the guys that are still there.
That's an interesting point.
And Marcus Freeman literally might be pissed off that game ended the way that it did. And while he is a handsome son of a bitch, I don't want that guy trying to scheme up
motherfucker too.
Pass.
I mean, that's Smolder.
Yes. Like, I mean, Notre Dame players talked about it in the aftermath of the Orange Bowl. Like, the James Franklin antics in the presser did not land well with Marcus Freeman, and you saw how that worked out. Ryan Day, smart enough to not do the same thing in the coach's presser this week. But the schedule, they start at the U.
Carson Beck dead.
hate to be you, Carson Beck. Texas A&M, Purdue, Arkansas, Boise State, USC, Navy, Pitt, and Kyle's favorite, Boston College, NC State, and Syracuse as well. So
I think I
certainly
respect the G5 school more than BC. That's a great point by you, Jim.
Certainly, certainly manageable.
I mean, I'm looking at it from the perspective. Carson Beck first started at Miami. That kid's dead.
But you say that. But even with all that in mind, you and I both know, Bern, that mofo is going to be preseason ranked, and that's going to be so huge to help Notre Dame.
They're 23, Texas A&M's 22, Boise State's 24, and Boise State's losing the best player they've probably had play at their school. I don't know ever.
Yeah.
Well, and if it not to ask for the media to be consistent because they never are, sir, but like I feel like there's a real chance that Boise State gets dropped out of the 25 because he's retiring. We've seen it happen plenty of times, right? The most prominent thing that I can give you as an example, because I covered it at the time, it wasn't for the black and gold banneret, but it would be eventually, and that's when Mackenzie Milton got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
In 18, and then they also or no, it wasn't even that he got hurt. They just changed coaches the first year. That's right. In 2018, they just changed to Josh Heupel, and that was enough to keep them from making any sort of preseason ranking.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, the problem. Well, there's lots of problems with preseason rankings. I won't get on that soapbox. But like, you're going to see teams that were finished the season ranked this year that are maybe returning a large number of their roster that are going to either be dropped well below where they were, dropped out completely. There's going to be teams that went finished 8-5 this year that just because they're a name are going to be 10th because they won a bowl game against backups and no head coach. It's the silliness that is preseason rankings that unfortunately we'll never get away from. I mean, I saw numerous accounts doing early preseason rankings before last night's game was even over.
Oh, come on.
It's like, what are we doing here? But that's another argument for another day.
I'm looking at the final AP poll right now, and it's like Arizona State's not going to be in the top 10. Boise State's obviously not going to be in the top 10. The fact that Colorado is losing Travis Hunter and Shadur Sanders, they probably shouldn't be in the preseason top 25.
They probably won't be.
Maybe
especially
next
if Deion does take a job in the NFL too. So somebody write this down to remind me of this come August, because I would love to compare. I actually want to compare. We've never done it before. I would love to compare the final AP poll of this year, the one that came out today, to what will be the preseason poll when we end up doing our our preseason college football predictions come August, because the difference between the two will be insane.
All right, I wrote it in my notes.
Cool, thank you. I appreciate that.
That's actually going to be a fun episode. I like that.
So to close this, and then we'll take a quick gander at things. The many things we got wrong in our preseason predictions.
What a mess. But so many drinks, so much alcohol, Jim.
So much.
So goddamn true.
For Marcus Freeman and Notre Dame, yeah, I think Mike hit a great point, because and to go full hardball house homer, is 2 years ago when Michigan lost to TCU in the Fiesta Bowl. There was a number of players who intentionally stayed out on the field to watch the TCU celebration, because they didn't want to forget what that felt like. Obviously, we know what happened last year. Those players returned. Michigan went 15-0, en route to a college football playoff national championship. There was a number of Notre Dame players who will be back on this team, to the tune of like 18 starters, barring transfers, that stayed on the field last night with the red and white confetti raining down to watch that moment. After Molly McGrath interviewed Marcus Freeman in the post game stuff outside the Notre Dame locker room, when the interview ended, and there's been a couple of great shots, candid shots of this. There's media around a screen in the hallway where the Ohio State Buckeyes are on the stage getting their trophy. Marcus Freeman, very businesslike, watching, observing, taking that moment in. This was a third year of Marcus Freeman as a head coach. We've talked about up until this point, he had 8 losses, 4 of which were ranked teams, 4 of which were unranked teams. Some of them obviously baffling. A loss to a Marshall team, a loss to a 3-9 Stanford team, a loss to an NIU team this year, week 2 of this year. If you would have went back week 2, you want to talk about another show that I didn't want to do? It was week fucking 2 of this season.
A fucking 2
because
and rightly so.
Right. Like, what just happened? How do you beat the number, the 10 team or whatever they were at the time in front of 103,000 people and then come home and lose to NIU? And then they had an opportunity to roll over and die.
Yes.
Marcus Freeman and that team wouldn't do it. They won every game since then until last night. And at one point they were down 31-7. Trust me, I've seen Notre Dame in these games at 31-7. They end even worse. Okay. Like I have seen it. I have lived it. Thought I was living again last night. And then once again this year, they refused to roll over and die.
That is no BS. See.
So
see how I did it in Spanish to make it funny? Yeah.
See? So what this loss means to me as a Notre Dame fan is that, yeah, I'm bummed out. This in some ways, last night's loss felt worse than 2012 against Alabama, than the 2 trips to the college football playoff before when you got ran off the field. But in other ways, I am more optimistic for next year, the year after, because I see what this guy, this leader of the Notre Dame football program is building. And every opportunity he's had along the way to learn, he has taken it and made his team better, including after week 2. He took a phone call from a G5 coach that just beat him in his house,
Thomas Hammock,
and made his team better because of it. So, yeah, I'm bummed today, but I'm excited as hell for 2025. So that's what this loss means to me.
Hit the clap for yourself, please.
And rightly so.
So now, before we put our final bow on the college football season, we'll just take a quick glance. Kyle, go ahead.
I just got to say, I'm not asking for you to put in ka-ching motherfucker into the soundbite, but if you do, of course I will have to just be very, very celebratory in very inappropriate ways. But the reason why I mentioned ka-ching motherfucker is because our good friend Mikey the Burn Bernier did not have a chance to say quack, quack, motherfucker like he thought he would this time a month ago.
It's true. It is true. So speaking of that, looking back, obviously we know
goddamn rude.
It's also goddamn true.
So goddamn rude.
Let's see. Dave, Matt, and Mikey had the Big Ten champion of Oregon correct. Nobody had the ACC champion beat Clemson this year.
Of course they did.
Across the board, except for Mike, who had Texas, Dave, who had Alabama, had Georgia as your SEC champion. Again, nobody had Arizona State as your Big 12 champion. Matt had Oklahoma State. The rest of us had Utah.
Okay, listen. I stand by the moon falling on that one.
Yes, it was.
Did you say Utes?
We were all in that spot. We all got it. Injuries again.
I blame you.
That was a major problem.
I blame you.
For the Utes this year.
Did you say Utes?
Heisman Trophy winner. Nobody had the guts.
I blame you.
To pull the trigger on, of course, Travis Hunter from Colorado. In terms of the bye week predictions, let's see. We had I had Georgia on mine. Dave had Oregon on his.
Matt.
I lied. Dave did have Clemson. I looked right over that. Dave had Clemson, so he had them on the bye. Everybody else had those who picked it had Georgia. So we got there. Just looking down over the national championship predictions.
Stupid. I know that.
Mike had Oregon, Texas. EJ had Georgia, Ohio State, so he got 1. Student of the game, you had Georgia, Ohio State, so you had 1.
Oh shit.
Matt had Georgia and Ohio State. He had 1. Dave had Oregon, Alabama. He was bought into that Bama squad. I had Georgia, Texas. Ooh. Of course, we saw what the champion was. Nobody had the guts to pick.
Wait, you had the all SEC national title game?
I did.
Hard as season talking about how bad of a conference it was.
Well, you know.
What
now I know better.
By the way, injuries whooped my entire ass, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody that got impacted by Carson Beck's injury, for one. You know, then the Cam Moon Rising, or not rising, rather, hurt me twice because that was my Heisman vote.
Yep, sure was.
Holy shit. What I'm just curious, what did I pick for the ACC?
You had Florida. Florida State. You and EJ.
You and Ernest both took Florida.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Hold on. You both took Florida State. I took NC State because of Grayson McCall playing quarterback.
And Matt and I picked the U. Which really, let's be fair, the U
that was in play.
Been the U.
That was in play.
You got screwed.
Been them, but of course,
I agree. All you gotta do is beat the goddamn. All you gotta do is beat the goddamn Orange Men.
Do you have the locks of the year on there? Because I wrote those down.
I don't. Yeah, give me. Let's hear those.
Oh boy! All right, I'll start with my own because it's so goddamn bad.
So
Colorado will finish under 500.
Listen. That's I think Jim's mad that didn't happen. Is what I'm saying.
Allegedly.
Yeah, right.
Jim's lock of the year: every Power 4 champion will lose a game.
Damn. Well.
Quack, motherfucker. Nope, they didn't lose a game in the regular season.
Oh, that was a regular season prediction.
Son of a bitch.
Get wrecked.
I was close. I was going to say, technically, Oregon did lose a game.
What happened was
Matt's prediction: top 25 head coach will be fired.
That hasn't happened yet, has it?
I'd have to go back and look at the preseason top 25.
I don't think so. Yeah, I don't know. I won't hit the uh-oh on him because he may be correct on that.
Do you mean obviously mean a top 25 preseason ranked? Oh,
yes. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that
I'm
might
not
be in
sure.
play. I won't hit the uh-oh on that one.
When I'm done looking, I'll look and see who the top 25 were at the
we'll have to do a journalism on that.
Student of the game, Kyle Nash. Yours was Billy Napier will be fired after the loss to UCF.
Okay, he should have been, goddammit. I'm not wrong.
Well, I mean, you are wrong.
Statistically wrong. Reality not wrong.
Textually wrong. In reality, probably should have, but
yeah.
Kudos to them for giving a chance to breathe out because that team did get better.
Yeah, something.
And Van Man, as my wife so elegantly calls him, Ohio State's only loss will be in the national title game.
Wah wah.
You blew it.
I wish you would have been right about one thing.
Homer.
I mean, that wouldn't have been their only loss, but certainly would have wished at least part of that would have played out. But
so the preseason top 25: Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, Florida State. Did they move on from their head coach?
No. They actually added Gus Malzahn as their offensive coordinator.
Missouri.
Nope.
Utes.
Nope.
LSU, Clemson, Tennessee. No. Oklahoma.
Not yet.
No, I don't believe so.
OK State.
No.
No.
Though they talked a lot. They're talking a lot about Gundy, but no, not yet.
Not yet.
Kansas State.
No.
Nope.
The U.
Nope.
A&M, Texas.
Nope.
No.
Arizona.
No. They didn't because they changed him out before the season started.
Okay.
They haven't done it yet. It's a first-year guy.
Kansas.
No.
Nope.
Though I can see the talk.
The University of Southern California.
Nope.
Not yet.
NC State,
Don't believe so.
Iowa.
No, that one.
Not Iowa.
No, they
Nope.
did not fire Kirk Ferentz.
All right, sorry, Matt. You get the uh-ohs.
Uh-oh.
Worst material ever. The uh-ohs.
All right, so that we closed the book on the 2024-2025 college football season, a memorable one in many ways, the good, the bad, and the ugly on that. You know what? We haven't heard that in a while, so I'll hit it as I close the book on the good, the bad, and the ugly of the college football season as we bid farewell to it. It is one that I will certainly never forget. And hopefully we started something special for my team. But now we head over to the National Football League. Before we get into the picks for championship weekend, let's take a gander back here at the divisional round. Is there we go. We have
Great.
Hello, gentlemen.
Busting through the doors. Welcome in. Ernest, DJ Christian, how are we doing this week?
Well, I was in North Florida, a little snow there, so a little shaky. You getting snow there, Kyle? Oh, no.
No, not yet. Thank God.
Oh my God, it's been crazy up there.
Why the fuck do I need snow chains in Florida? This is bullshit.
Because why not? Because why not?
Shut up, Ernest.
4 chains, wouldn't
You'll be okay. You'll be okay. Hi, Michael.
Listen, if I were allowed to pad up, I'm 45, I can't. If I were allowed to pad up and play a football game as an offensive lineman in the snow, I might be a little bit more excited about it. I'll be honest.
Okay.
That's fair. That is fair.
Sounds good.
But let's take a look back at the divisional weekend in the National Football League. Student of the game, I'll start with you. Biggest takeaway from divisional weekend?
Boy, there's some whiny bitches out there with some horrible takes. Good God. I'm just going to make it general with that, but point to 2 particular things. A, it wasn't the ref's fault. The calls were bad. They didn't decide the game. Stop it. Okay? Just stop it. B, this wasn't Lamar Demetrius Jackson's fault. Yeah, he had a turnover. Shit happens. Okay? I'm not putting it all on Mark Andrews either, but let's be honest. That whole play took from us the opportunity for an epic comeback that everybody, Ernest would be losing his entire mind right now, I'm sure. We didn't get that. So but
silver lining, possibly?
Yeah. Silver lining is the Bills still have a shot. There's that, I guess.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, the Texans, to just take a quick touch on that first point. Yeah, the Texans did more to themselves than calls did. I don't hate that people are even in-game broadcast. Like I thought, to me, it was wild to hear. I think one of my favorite tweets of the weekend was Troy Aikman's become a much better broadcaster since he just doesn't give a fuck. Which I get the spirit of the thing, because sometimes guys get way too corporate covered. They like to stay in like the safe little box. I think Aikman and Buck do a pretty good job, especially this season, of kind of breaking that mold a little bit. But yeah, were there bad calls? Absolutely. We've talked the pattern a bit over the course of the season, but the Texans made way too many mistakes to be able to say that is why they lost.
Again, Jim. Again, right?
Correct.
This is what the Texans are: is a bunch of self-inflicted gunshot wounds. Okay, no, stop it. You're only in the playoffs.
Going yourself in the playoff.
Correct. First of all, terrible, just terrible. That is so goddamn rude.
Terrible.
So goddamn true.
Also that.
So goddamn rude.
That's that was beautiful. So I can't with Texans fans, man. And I don't even dislike the Texans. It's the fans. And if we're going to complain about quarterbacks getting the benefit of the doubt, what the fuck was Troy Aikman all through Brady's career? But nobody wants to talk about that.
Well, he was probably scared of his bosses at Fox.
Of course.
But
you haven't hired him yet, Jim. That's all I'm saying.
But EJ, your biggest takeaway from divisional weekend?
Yeah, I guess my one takeaway, and I've been tweeting about it for the last 48 hours since the end of the divisional weekend, is just the way Lamar Jackson's covered. I'm criticizing both sides of it, not just the side that over criticized, but the one that overpraised him too also, and don't leave any nuance in the middle. And we have friends of mine, we have mutual friends, Kyle, you and I, in the media that do cover Lamar Jackson in a way where, okay, I understand that you wanted to course correct the criticism he gets, though, but you don't do that by going the opposite end of the spectrum. You know what I mean?
Well, also, if it is who I think it is, there's a political agenda there too. Let's be clear.
And that's a problem. That's a problem. Okay, you're part of the problem when you're doing that stuff. You know, look, he did he play a okay game? I guess some parts, yes. What were they in the hole because of him? Yes. Did he do a good job getting his team back in the game? Yes. Both me right here. You know, I wish we get to a point that we could just cover this guy in a nuanced situation. Like, he's a great quarterback. Okay, he lost his game. Okay, he's still a top 2-3 guy in the league. Okay, that's not going to change. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, EJ. You know a good way to get that coverage? Listen to the Student of the Game podcast.
Got him.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think not just isolating it on Lamar Jackson. That's kind of become the way that a lot of sports media is now. And it's probably part of the reason why, at least on a national level, I haven't listened to pretty much anybody but Dan Patrick or Rich Eisen for the past, insert number of double-digit number of years here.
Oh, you listen to Rich Eisen? That's such a shock, Michigan homer. Sorry.
Oh, calm down, man.
It's the setup. Remember, I can't spell I am Homer without Jim James Harbaugh. Okay, we've confirmed that on this show.
True, but yeah, it's just become it's either blank player is the worst blank of all time of this generation, etc., or did you see what blank did in this game? They are the best of this generation. Like, no, like, you can have a great game, you can have a bad game, you can cost your team in the first quarter, you can get them back in the second, but maybe don't dig the hole. I mean, again, like, we can talk about how great of a comeback attempt it was last night, but don't dig yourself a 31-7 hole, and you might be able to win the game. So, like, like, don't put the ball on the ground multiple times, and even in that discussion, like I saw numerous tweets yesterday, Lamar Jackson says he's tired of people putting the ball on the ground. Like, the intentional clickbaity of, like, they're trying to paint this picture that he's blaming the loss on Mark Andrews, when if you listen to the clip,
he took accountability. He took accountability for that shit. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just the unfortunate nature of what sports media has become.
But a lot of it too. Also, go ahead, Mike.
You know what I'm sick and tired of?
What?
Like, let's not talk about the fact that Zay Flowers was out that game.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's not bring up the fact that his best wide receiver didn't play a snap in that football game. Let's talk about
it.
Because some of you are smart.
Thank you.
Let's also talk about the fact that I've said on this show, hey, you went out and you got Derrick Henry. You got your guy. You got the guy to put the team on your back. We talked about it all year. The games they've lost, the guys had 12, 14. He has 16 carries in a road playoff game.
So Mike, in saying this now, do we have to revisit again, like last year in the Ape-style game? Is this now, again, a John Harbaugh problem?
No, because it's putting the football on the ground problem led to them not having the ball to give them the ball more.
I'm going to say this because normally you're 1,000,000,000% correct, Mike. What must be accounted for, as I've said many times, and you already know where I'm going. I'm not
I know. Oh, no, I know where you're going.
But yeah, it's the most underrated defensive tackle core in the NFL. Can we please give these motherfuckers some credit there in Buffalo?
Oh, absolutely. But I will say Derrick Henry averaging 5.3 yards a carry. You have to look at that. His longest carry of the game was 17 yards before anyone goes, well, he had an 80-yard touchdown run, so it makes the rest of it look good. Kind of like Saquon Barkley having 2 touchdowns.
I love how you're doing
5 yards.
My friends.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you have a guy who's running for 5 yards a clip, like, try to find a way to get him the ball a little bit more than 16 times in a road playoff game in questionable weather. I get it. The Mark Andrews stuff hurts because he fumbles and then he drops the 2-point conversion. It happens. It happens more often than people think. It happens in the regular season. And you know what they say? All right, we move forward. All right, we're focused on Cincinnati. It's on to Cincinnati. It's on to Chicago. We don't talk about it whenever a team loses a game and they're 4-2, but we put it under a magnifying glass when it ends their season.
Sure.
By the way, in the name of Lamar Demetrius Jackson, I will take accountability. I didn't mean Jim James Harbaugh. I meant James Joseph Harbaugh. That's how you correctly spell I am a homer.
There you go.
Jim Joseph Harbaugh.
Mikey B, your takeaway from divisional weekend.
My takeaway, I kind of hinted at it a little bit when we were talking. Who knew that our opening soundbite of our show would be right also 1 year later? The legend of Mike Sanderstrill.
Yeah.
2
Mike Sanderstrill.
Huge interceptions in the state of Michigan to break the Lions' hearts.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody.
The only person that's got it better than Mike Sanderstrill right now is no one.
No one. Nobody.
The kid wins the national title at Michigan, gets drafted, has 2 interceptions in the regular season, picks off Jared Goff twice in the state of Michigan. Holy shit, Batman.
Yeah, that's I wasn't even thinking about the fact that that game, of course, was played in Michigan, not far from Ann Arbor.
Kudos to the Washington Commanders offense as well. I have to
absolutely
give them all the praise in the world.
Red Tails. Sorry, Commanders.
Yes. But I will say this. The Detroit Lions really feel like the Notre Dame Fighting Irish at points right now. Wow, I really would like to see what that defense would do with Manny Rodriguez playing linebacker. I would really love to see what that defense would do with Aiden Hutchinson on the defensive line. I would really love to see what they would do with their top 2 cornerbacks not on injured reserve. I'm sorry, their second and their third because Kirby Joseph was still healthy. But like the injury bug that we talked about in week 7 and week 8 that we said it's just going to be a matter of time until this defense can't do it anymore. And you know what was the breaking point? The offense finally started turning the football over. It left the defense on the field for too long.
Yeah.
I like Jared Goff. I like Sonic and Knuckles. I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. But the thought process in a football game, and Dan Campbell, you're my dog. I will run through a wall for you, but what the fuck are we doing having a fucking wide receiver throw a football in a game where you need points immediately? Ben Johnson, enjoy those trick plays. I heard DJ Moore can throw it real well too. We'll see if Caleb Williams is good at catching passes. I don't get it. I don't get the play call. I've never questioned Dan Campbell on this show. I've been the guy, and you guys can say it in the chat. I've defended Dan Campbell more times than not when his play call is even stupid. I'm the one that's going, I would do it too. I would run through a wall for that guy because most of the time it works. But in a game where you need points and your quarterback has turned the football over, you're like, yeah, you know what, Jameson Williams, you throw it.
Yeah. We've regularly quipped on this show, you live by the Dan Campbell, you die by the Dan Campbell.
Yeah.
And this is 2 years in a row. Now, granted, this year you probably also died by the injury bug, but you have also died by the Dan Campbell for the second year in a row. And this
is the injury bug so much. Some of us didn't even make the playoffs because of that shit. Okay, like
I mean, you're not wrong, but when
playoffs,
when you're there and you have the opportunity to get healthy for the biggest game or the biggest 2 games of the year, get healthier. It's definitely some questionable decisions. This is not in any way, shape, or form saying that the Lions should make any thought about changing their head coach because that
if they want to fire Dan Campbell, I'll take him in Cincinnati right now. Sorry, Zach Taylor.
Oh shit! Jacksonville's got him first, motherfucker.
There's a lot of teams who are going to lie. You know what? I feel like if Detroit would fire Dan Campbell, every fan base in America just gets to meet in the center of this country, and whoever has the most people standing at the end gets Dan Campbell. Like, I feel like that's just how
You're
that's
just standing on a podium, just yelling out motivational things. You're just like, I might want to die, but I'm going to run through this
They're
goddamn
gonna build
wall.
a coliseum in the center of this country, and everybody's going to gladiator fight to see who gets Dan Campbell as their new head coach. But yeah, the certainly a another off season of disappointment for Detroit. There's some fans there still happy to get to the dance. Bye, EJ.
Bye, Ernest.
That's so goddamn rude.
Well, I mean, maybe the library shut down and the internet had to get cut off for the night. But yeah, for me, one of the biggest takeaways, and I'll glance on it quickly, is the Jared Goff thing. Like, I've been a Jared Goff defender to a degree. Like, he's never going to be Patrick Mahomes, but you don't need that. Teams have certainly won Super Bowls with worse, but for a guy who is very reliable with not turning the ball over, you can't do it in your biggest game, dude. Like, to date, and that's certainly what he did. Also, we talk about would have loved to have seen the national championship without the defensive injuries. Would have loved to have seen the Lions without defensive injuries. For Kyle, would have loved to have seen the Niners to play a season without injuries. I would have loved to have seen the Rams versus the Eagles without the snow. Because now certainly I think it kind of reared its head for both teams, but the Rams were in that game more than I gave them credit for, even in bad weather. And I, again, this is why Philly won the right to play at home, because you can have at least, if nothing else, crowd advantage, stadium advantage, and playing in those elements, practicing in those elements. But yeah, I would have loved to have seen that game not in a snowstorm.
It's a credit too, also the Rams defense, and because the thought was, okay, well, they're LA team finesse, they're going to the East Coast, playing the Eagles in the trenches in the snow, and that defense showed up. They showed up in the trenches. So,
I mean, that was kind of where I was going to go with, the fact that if you take the two long Saquon Barkley touchdowns off of the board, 24 carries for 60-something yards, he's averaging 2.7 yards a carry. Shout out to the front seven there to keeping him contained, with the exception of those two long touchdown runs. Right. I mean,
and then the Jalen Hurts run too, also when it go
forward. I'm just saying, Saquon was probably the main focus on film.
Oh, obviously.
So to have the guy who myself and Kyle talked about being a potential front runner for the MVP award on the Student of the Game End of the Year awards. 2.7
reverse while we're here, and the Defensive Rookie of the Year unanimously.
I was letting you get it,
my man.
So I think shout out to the Rams defense. Like, a lot of people thought, okay, the Rams are coming and they're going to have to score. They're going to have to score 35 points because it's going to be 45-35. Like, they didn't think it was Jared Verse and the defense was going to be able to stop, or not stop, because they didn't stop him, but contain Saquon Barkley to an extent.
Not 255 yards. I think that was the main goal.
Yeah, sure. No.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a lot of people. Oh, look, it's Aaron Charles Donald. He's not there anymore. This run defense is not going to be able to stop the machine. Well, they didn't really stop him. They contained him with the exception of the two long touchdown drives, and they gave themselves an opportunity to win a football game late. I don't think they could ask for any more on the road in the middle of a snowstorm.
I think we're dismissing the snow just a little bit, though, with this, because, listen, for one, the Eagles won't have any more teams who regularly use the term bruh in a surfing context anymore for the rest of the season, so that's going to matter less. B, I can't help but notice that this very team had 2 turnovers, probably because the snow was involved to an extent. These are things that happen. So I think not bringing that into the mix is incomplete. But everything else, I get you. I'm on board.
So real quick, while Ernest is away, Kyle, are you watching the Magic game?
I did see 95-80. That is, I'm going to have an awful lot to write about that very soon.
I only ask because The Raptors are wearing their City Editions jerseys tonight.
I have not seen that part yet. No.
So it is the Raptor, like the old school Raptor that's on their jersey, doing the Vince Carter between his leg dunk, from the dunk contest. So it's the Raptor wearing the number 15 Vince Carter jersey. I think that might be the sickest logo I think I've ever seen on a basketball court.
But now I have to check it.
That's fire. Ernest might actually like that logo too.
Was that no?
The Raptors City Edition. Sorry, I'm watching the Raptors game on NBA TV, and it's the Raptor doing the between the leg Vince Carter dunk.
Oh.
Nice. So he's wearing the number 15 for Vince Carter. Like, sorry, I just watched. It's a big ass logo right in the middle of the court. It keeps distracting me every time to go. So I had to say something. Sorry.
Welcome back to Huddle Up Podcast. It was a great segue.
Devin's takeaway from the
I'm
weekend.
right now, actually.
Devin's takeaway from the weekend. He thinks his game is more interesting with the snow. Yeah, I mean, certainly there's people who do enjoy that and do love the element of weather. There's others that don't.
And they're a-holes.
I mean, here's the deal. This will come as a surprise to everybody, but my interest in wondering what the Eagles-Rams game would have looked like in not snowy weather, because I think the Rams probably would have won that game, and I say that for biased reasons. But
you said what you said.
Yeah. I mean, the game was close enough in the bad weather, but it didn't happen in nice weather. It happened in snowy weather, and the Eagles advanced. So let's
real quick though. My fear now is that because Notre Dame lost last night, rather, that now they're going to reward your brother and Matt now with the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. I would prefer Notre Dame winning last night and the Eagles not getting the Super Bowl, losing the Super Bowl altogether. I can't have both, and I don't want the Eagles. So
why'd you?
In the words of
you didn't have to say that.
I mean,
Shut your mouth.
Just saying.
Jim got 4 teams in the playoff. You got 22. What are you bitching about?
I'm saying I don't want the Eagles to win it. That's all.
I mean, at least you're not writing letters to the sports gods on your fucking social media.
Hey man, I was doing anything and everything. I was making offerings. I was doing what I could. It didn't work out.
If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, Jim.
That's true, brother.
All right, let's go to NFL Championship weekend. This upcoming weekend, of course, the final 2 games before the final game. Because the Pro Bowl doesn't count. I don't even think it's really even a game at this point anymore. Which actually I'm actually fine with. Give me more stuff like that. The NHL skills competition better than the NHL All-Star game by a mile.
Facts.
Really?
So
okay, interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. These guys don't want to play a pretend game except for Sean Taylor. RIP. The Pro Bowl was always lame. Give me this kind of stuff. Let guys just go out and have fun. They busted their ass for months. Let them just go out and have fun and enjoy the weekend. But speaking of enjoying the weekend, Sunday, 3:00 Eastern time on Fox, it is the number 6 seed Washington Commanders. They come into this a total of 14-5. They travel to the number 2 seed Philadelphia Eagles, coming into this one at 16-3 on the year. They're a 5.5-point home favorite. 47.5 is your over-under on this one. Your forecast for Sunday, currently partly sunny, high near 40. So weather should not be much of an impact like it was this past Sunday in Philadelphia. So Mikey B, start with you. NFC Championship.
Why not? They played each other twice this year. I believe the Eagles took both games.
Incorrect.
No, they split.
The Red Tails beat. Was it Mitchell Trubisky or whatever the hell his name is?
No, it was.
Okay. They played
Tanner McKee or whatever the fuck his name is. Yeah,
No,
it wasn't.
No, that was Pickett.
Eagle.
That was Pickett. It was Pickett actually.
Was it Pickett? Yeah, wrong guy.
Game, yeah, it was Pickett.
Kenny Pickett, Jake Meineke, Car Care Bowl. Who gives a shit? It wasn't a starter.
It wasn't a starter, right?
That being said, I'm gonna take the Commanders plus the points. I think this is going to be very tight. These two teams know each other very well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna take the over.
Okay. All right. EJ.
Yeah, I do think familiarity is going to play a factor on both ends, especially for the Commanders. Hopefully, I mean, this has been a great story for Jay Daniels and company. What they've been doing this year, and in the playoffs, winning 2 road games, including one against the Lions, on the road. But as much as look, people say this is like my nightmare. I'm a Giants fan, of course. You see 2 NFC East teams in the conference championship. No, bigger nightmare have been Cowboys, Eagles, despite what Kyle and Jim may think here, of course.
Whatever you say, Jaworski.
Calm down. But it just feels like even with familiarity and the hot hand right now with Jane Daniels, and I pray I'm wrong on this one, but it just feels like the end of the road here for Washington. I think Philadelphia, they had the one quote unquote hiccup when they called that last week against the Rams. I think the Eagles win this game relatively easily. Give me the Eagles to cover, and I'll take the under in this one.
Okay, let's do the game.
So is it the Eagles are giving up 6? Is it? I keep
5.5.
5.5. Okay. Yeah, I think the game is going to be about a touchdown off. So slight cover. But listen, red tails, veggie tails, tales from the crypt. Red tails are dead. Okay. No, it's not going to happen. I'm sorry. This is cute, but give me the Eagles to cover. The over, I think, is the bet if you're going to degenerate this game. See, that's my verb now instead of bet. I think the over is a good bet to degenerate this game. A slight over, albeit, of course, reserve the right to watch the weather forecast. If it's going to snow during the game, make sure that shit's the under. But yeah, I got the Eagles to cover at the end of the day for me.
Yeah, the big question coming out of the Eagles Rams is the health of Jalen Hurts. Suffered a leg injury in that game. Apparently today on a visit to 94 WIP in Philadelphia, Nick Sirianni said we are preparing with him being the quarterback. So is he going to be 100%? Probably not. Find me a guy who is 100% at this point of the year. But if Hurts is limited in his ability to make plays, that could be a problem for this Eagles team. Washington is coming in here. They have nothing to lose. The Eagles really are kind of, playing with more quote unquote pressure on them as the now front runner in the NFC. Everything runs through us. Everybody's probably telling them easy road now, right? Like you might as well put the Eagles in the Super Bowl. So Washington playing with all the house money at this point, and they're coming in hot. That's because of the injuries on the offensive side of the ball, I'm gonna say Commanders to cover. I don't quite have the guts to pull the trigger and predict them to win the game, but I think it is going to be a close one. The matchup earlier in the season, before this Washington team really got clicking, was an 8-point difference in Philly's favor. So Washington, even when they weren't at their best, is more than capable of doing it. So I like that, and I will. Offense is clicking, but if Washington is going to do it, they're going to have to limit the points on the Philly side. So give me the under as well. Devin has Philly and the over on that one. So then we move to the AFC Championship, and boy, stop me if you've heard this matchup before, folks. It is the Buffalo Bills. They are the number 2 seed, 15-4 on the season. They travel to the number 1 seed, Kansas City Chiefs, 16-2 on the season. A 2.5-point home favorite for KC. 47.5 is your over under. This one Sunday, 6:30 Eastern time on CBS. And your forecast for Sunday, partly sunny, high 35, overnight temperature 19. So it's going to be cold, but it's going to be clear. Again, weather shouldn't be a factor in the AFC title game either. Mikey B, I will start with you. AFC title game.
Nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Give me the Bills plus the points. Give me the Bills money line. They beat them once. They're going to do it again.
Do it.
Homer.
EJ.
Better come with that same energy whenever he picks Chiefs too, buddy.
EJ? Are you still with us?
Am I good now?
Okay, there you are. You're back.
All right,
Welcome back.
internet's a fucking whack right now. God, this game's so hard to pick because, you know, especially the last 3 years, whenever these teams match up, whether or not it's, you know, whoever wins, it's always a close matchup. And in fact, the only time I think I've seen a team win convincingly when the Buffalo Bills have done it, like this year, week 11 it was. This is a tough matchup, man. It really is. The thing is, for KC to lose this game, they gotta beat themselves. And it's hard to see them doing that, but man, I don't know, man. Buffalo, it feels like right now they feel like a team of destiny. They really do. Jeez, it's tough. What was your runner again, buddy?
47.5.
All right, give me the over on that one, number one. That's fine. No, actually, you don't give me under that one. I'm sorry, give me under that one. I apologize.
I was about to say.
Yeah, I forgot. This is KC. This is KC. This is New Chiefs. Jesus.
Pick the Chiefs to cover.
The thing is, right now, if you ask me right now how I feel,
well, I am asking you right now.
I'm leaning Buffalo right now, but tomorrow I might say KC.
There's the fence.
There's the fence.
That's what I'm saying. This is a game they can absolutely win because they match up very well with the Chiefs.
Correct, but
Fuck it. I'll go. When I stall, Jesus Christ.
No, yeah, it is.
No,
like
yours
that.
actually makes sense.
You know, exactly. So yeah, deal with it. Fuck, I'll take KC just because.
There
Homer.
And I took KC. To be fair, though, I took KC so I could hear that shit. So thank you.
What can I say except you're welcome?
Soon to the game, AFC title game.
You know, perhaps the dumbest thing to do at one point in history was to bet against Thomas Edward Patrick B. Brady. We are in the phase of life where the dumbest thing you could do is bet against Patrick LeVon Mahomes II. Especially new Chiefs, my ass, EJ Christian. I've been telling y'all motherfuckers since the beginning of last year, this is a defensive team. The under is the bet. If you are going to degenerate this game, the under is the goddamn bet. Period, point blank, end of goddamn story. By the way, the correct answer actually is don't bet this goddamn game. Now, we got that out of the way, and I've stalled entertainingly. Take a note there, EJ Christian. I know you shouldn't bet against Patrick LeVon Mahomes II, but God damn it, these kids and their vibes. The vibes are telling me to take Josh Allen.
The optics.
Pedigree. Oh, wait. No. With all that being said, guys, this is going to sound dumb, and only me on this show would ever actually say it, except, you know, when I talk about the trenches on the Duval Dive. Defensive tackle play is going to decide this goddamn game. Is Chris Jones going to make things happen up front to open up Karlaftis and company again? Or is that defensive tackle core going to handle business by actually aiming low? Because, you know, if you're a lineman that says, we expected the refs to be against us, and then still aim high, you're an idiot, aren't you?
Aim high, Willis. Aim high.
But nobody wants to talk about that. We knew we was playing against the refs. That's why we were aiming for the upper part of his body where we could get flagged. Dumbass. So, God, I'm glad I got that off my chest. Sorry, Mr. Anderson. But, yeah, give me the Bills. I guess. Nice. I guess to. Well, no, they're giving up. No, the Chiefs are giving up too. So yeah, I guess I'm getting 2 extra points potentially. So if Patrick LeVon Mahomes II wins by 1, I'm still kind of right. I actually really like that. But the under is the correct bet. Give me the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if the Bills are going to do it, they're going to have to put points on the board. And they're going to have to find creative ways to get around this Chiefs defense. So I am taking the over in this game because a little bit differently than the NFC title game, because I do think Washington is going to run out of the luck or the time or the space or whatever. This game is a little bit different. You know, I saw a Bills team just absolutely manhandled the Chiefs in week 11. And I understand that in previous years, It's been Josh Allen and the Bills in the regular season. It's been Mahomes and the Chiefs in the postseason. But I think that changes. It might just be for 1 year, but give me the Bills to win this game. And like I said, I will take the over as well. Devin has the Bills in the over. So
as Kyle said, though, do not bet this fucking game.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't touch it unless you're a degenerate.
You're nothing but a degenerate.
I know quite a few. But,
so this is the perfect outcome for Mikey the Burn Bernier. We have 4 Bills picks, including Devin, and EJ went the other way. Like, this is omen-wise. Burn is happy.
All the vibes. All the vibes.
All the vibes
all
and the optics. And since we all picked it, it has the pedigree too, right now, Burn?
Something like that. But as it is, and probably for the last time, well, we can humor it when we get to the Super Bowl preview, but for the last kind of real time on the year.
You'll get this shit wrong too. Why are we bothering?
I think actually mine's probably the more wrong this week, so enjoy.
Not so fast, my friend.
Tributes are always welcome on this show, Jim. I don't give a shit if it's yours or mine or whoever. It's Lee Corso drops, always preferred.
Not so fast, not so fast, not so fast.
But it is the NFL power rankings, of course, and once we get to the postseason, we look at the teams that are left playing and eligible for the Super Bowl. So there's only 4 this week. So EJ, if your internet is still cooperating, I think we lost him. The spin is just spinning. He might be gone again, Captain.
He's not even going to try to talk his way out of it. He's just here's infinite spin. That's what my argument.
Here's my rankings. I'm out.
Infinite spins.
He just pulled the Ethernet cable out of the back of the fucking modem.
He rage quit his own segment. What the fuck?
Just pour one out for.
But EJ was the first one to get merch on this show.
Maybe I thought maybe he's. Wait, hold on.
Wait for it.
Hey, there he is.
I think there's a snowstorm here going on in South Florida. No, not really, but Van ain't equipped with a snowstorm in Florida, but whatever. Here's my power rankings, guys. If you guys listen on the audio side, unless Mike already said it. Commander.
No, we did not. We were just making fun of your internet.
Cool, dude. Dude, I know what's going on today. It's been horrible the last like 25 minutes.
Oh, stop Commanders. Jesus, before we lose you.
I know. Commanders 4, Eagles 3, Bills 2, Chiefs 1. Homer. What's up?
I mean, it's different than I have. I'll put the rest of us on the board.
Field, baby.
It's a ranking,
and I promise you, Mike and I did not. This is not a group project, okay? I will give Sean. Sean says Eagles 1, Chiefs 2.
Y'all boys are the dumbest shit I've ever
Bills
seen.
3, Commanders 4. I'll give Mike's in mine because I think Mike's broken for the second. Mike and I have Bills 1, Eagles 2, Commanders 3, Chiefs 4. And I said, I promise you, we did not work on this group together. He sent me his, and I went, oh, goddamn, kid, look at you.
Listen, okay, can we remind everybody the purpose of the segment isn't to out hot take EJ? What the fuck are we doing here?
Hold on. You want the king of hot takes to not have a hot take? What do you mean?
I'm not that bad.
No, that's my point.
I wear the crown of hot takes.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not that bad. First of all, risky pick is not the same as hot takes. Let's be clear. You can at least explain your silly. Okay,
Mike, I'll let you explain how you got here, and then I will explain how I got here.
Do we need an explanation, or can you just hit Homer for? Okay, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I was going to look up and make the comment. The Commanders' victory was more impressive, beating the Detroit Lions. I felt like the Eagles' victory with the ability of them moving the football on the ground in the middle of a snowstorm was more impressive than beating the Houston Texans. And obviously, I think we all have talked about how good the Baltimore Ravens have been all year, beating them in a game as close as it was. The Bills showed a lot of heart in that game and kept themselves in the running to try to win the NFL the title. With the Chiefs, no, the officiating did not directly lead to a victory in that game. Were there plays where it kept drive alive and things along those lines? Sure, but they still had to go down and score the points that they scored on those drives. Houston still had opportunities to stop them and were unable to. I look at it last week. I believe I had the Chiefs at, let me bring my own
3. You and I had them at 3.
So I dropped them a spot specifically from the fact that I believe the Commanders' victory was more impressive than the Chiefs' victory over the Houston Texans, a team that we all had left for dead going into this week, no matter what.
I'm letting you know right now. Right now, I have a phone in my hand. I'm texting Andy Reid as we speak. These power rankings that Jim and Mike have posted.
God, I'm so glad he has your fucking phone number blocked.
Yeah.
Before he blocked it, he actually had.
I have something
he actually had your name as
Andy Reid.
Yeah.
Kidding. I kid. I just
before that, your contact name was Florida cheesesteak guy.
Cheesesteak guy.
Yeah, I mean, what else would you and Andy Reid talk about? It sure as fuck isn't football. Anyway,
Kool-Aid.
Thank you.
Kool-Aid. Nicely done, EJ Christian.
So similar to kind of Mike's reasoning. Yeah, I mean, I had the Chiefs at 3, I had the Texans. I had the Texans at 8 because I couldn't put them lower. And I thought the game was more about what the Texans with an opportunity to do didn't do. And I had the Lions at 1. They've been my number 1 team locked in to that position for 6, 7, 8 weeks. And Washington went into them and just kicked their teeth in. So to me, it's more rewarding the Commanders than it is penalizing the Chiefs. Really, when I'm looking at this, and it's for me. It's these 4 teams are extremely close. And really, if we were operating in a universe of cowards of 3A and 3B, that's probably where I would have attacked it. But again, I think for me it was rewarding. It was rewarding the Commanders for what I thought was one of the better wins of this season in a huge moment.
Not taking away from Defensive Player of the Year Chris Jones and probably
you already have. You're
no,
say that.
I'm not disrespecting defense. I'm disrespecting the fact that all I've heard is how great this offense is now they have Hollywood Brown, and
nobody mentioned that this weekend, for the record.
Oh, a lot of people did.
Well,
not on this program, but yes.
You'll forgive me. I was not.
Yes, because this show uses, I don't know, common sense.
We smart.
But yeah, I know you don't disrespect them, but your rankings and their lack of disrespect for 8 sacks of CJ Stroud is noted. Now, if you really wanted to give me a good answer, sir, you'd be like, it's the Texans offensive line. And you'd also be right. Some of the worst coaching too, as well, in the form of thinking you could shut down Karlaftis, not once, not twice, but 3 times.
Sorry that I didn't want to give myself PTSD about talking about shit offensive lines anymore, Kyle. I've only done it for 18 weeks with the Bengals.
Too soon? Only 18 weeks, motherfucker. You seen your seasons lately? Anyway.
Yes,
but terrible, just terrible.
Wow.
But at least I had other things to blame. Defense is not being able to cover anybody. Joe Burrow being hurt. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins both being injured. I had other things to talk about that weren't how bad the offensive line were that I've always known has been absolute dog water.
Listen, your therapist session is over time.
I mean, not that he's here to defend himself, but does anybody want to talk about besides the obvious Homer factor?
See, that's the part. Like, I mean, y'all are nuts in your own right, but at least you can find a way. The Eagles, are you fucking shitting me right now? They might be the most unimpressive team in terms of the victories they got in this thing. But Kyle, the Chiefs only beat the Texans. You're correct, but at least they got a fucking bye. What do the Eagles do?
Yeah, I like. Do we want to do the Eagles at 1 for Sean? I mean, I assume there is certainly some Homer bias there. So I will at least lend him that much. But yeah,
I would have never have guessed.
And a 12-point win over Green Bay, a 6-point win over the Rams. Again, what that could have been on a fair weather Sunday, we don't know. But yeah, I don't see the Eagles as the best team. Certainly they have the home field advantage, but yeah, I don't see what they're doing.
I think I would have lived in a world where he had Chiefs and Bills like Ernest at 1 and 2, and then Eagles and Commanders at 3 and 4, because at least at that point you could look up and be like, one of these teams is going to win the AFC, one of them is going to win the NFC, or even move the Chiefs up and move the Eagles down. I
bet that's exactly what he's doing. That's what it is. You're right.
Yeah, because he to his credit, he kind of did do that last week as well.
Yeah.
With it, but for me, I just I look at it more from the standpoint of like, if
who's better,
if A and B play this week,
Well, yeah, because he's definitely said on the show, I'm looking at who they're playing, and I think the Eagles have the easier matchup, so I'm going to probably give them the advantage over the Chiefs or the Bills, because obviously they're going to play each other. Because I know he said that last week when talking about.
Yeah,
because I think we talked about the Chiefs last week on his, and he goes, "Why have them as high? Because they're playing the Texans, and the Texans suck."
For consistency base, I'll at least give him that.
Yeah,
but
consistency points. I'll even take an argument for the Bills at 4 if you want to say that they were handed the game, but Eagles at 1. What are we doing? No.
Yeah, and I mean
4. That's an even bigger no. To your point, Jim. Most impressive win of the weekend.
Yeah. And then, but the EJs, I don't. My only issue, would be the Bills behind the Chiefs. I think the Bills had the better win. I get the Chiefs have the home field in the game coming up, but I do think the Bills had the better win.
The Chiefs only lost 1 game all year, and it was to the team that's behind them.
Well,
I agree. I agree with you, Jim, but I think there's a good defense in that it's more impressive, arguably. Again, this isn't what I'm thinking, but the defense I could make is on Sean's behalf. Okay. Is it's more impressive to get 8 sacks than it is to have a dude drop a crucial catch that could have taken the game to overtime and be handed that with all the times that the Ravens put it on the ground.
It's more impressive to beat Lamar Jackson even with the turnovers than it is to beat CJ Stroud with that bad offensive line.
No, I get that response, but again, that's I can entertain that argument.
Sure. I'm just retorting. That would be my counterpoint if
that's fair.
Yeah,
and I don't hate, even though obviously mine are dramatically different. I don't hate having both AFC teams above the 2 NFC teams.
I mean, to be fair, I would look at this rankings and say this is probably the hardest ranking to have a right or wrong answer, because to quote what we've said the last segment, vibes. What are the vibes that you get from these teams? What are the vibes that you're getting off of how good the Bills offense played against the Ravens defense and how good the Chiefs defense played against the Texans offense? I mean, there's vibes to this. There's feelings to this. There's all kinds of things that can
and I mean
decisions, but we're down to 4 teams.
Yeah. And we started the segment with revealing our top 4s and Kyle going, "You guys are crazy." And then we kind of defended it, and it's like, okay,
I don't love it, but you're not that crazy anymore.
You're probably still crazy, but so
you're less wrong than crazy.
Like,
I'll put it that way.
At the very least, we got the butt of like, okay, you haven't totally lost your minds.
Don't do
right. Like,
Sean is the most wrong. Okay, he has 2 things that shouldn't be happening. Thank you, Colin. He has 2 things that shouldn't be happening. Ernest only really has 1.
Yeah,
what's that?
The Commanders at 4.
Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment. But that's hard to leave them at 4 the way that they went into Detroit and
after beating a Bucs team that allegedly they weren't supposed to, too, by the way.
Correct. On the road against everybody's favorite quarterback, Baker Mayfield.
But yeah, stomping the Detroit Lions. So, but let's wrap it up here as we do our second to last time locking it up for the year.
You better lock it up. You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
All right. We look ahead to the weekend that will be. And what is one thing that will happen this upcoming week. Mike, what will happen this upcoming week?
I didn't do it whenever we talked about it, but I'm going to do it here at the Lock It Up portion of the show. It's easy like Sunday morning. The Washington Commanders are going to the Super.
Oh, stop.
Hail to the commies. Hail victory. Oh, it's back. Thank you, Jim.
He called for it.
Calling for it.
Yes.
Shut up, Ernest.
That fucking song.
I mean, the man calls for it. You got to play. You got to be ready.
go.
You always got to be ready. Ernest, what will happen this upcoming week?
Well, I hope Mike is correct on this one, but my lock of the
Don't
week,
pick it then.
unfortunately, is that Jane Daniels will throw at least 2.
He says Jane Daniels will throw at least 2 interceptions. That's what
Yes.
he said, Mike. You're welcome.
To himself.
Lock it up.
So 2 picks. Eagles win. Student of the game, what will happen this upcoming week?
God damn it. First of all, I really wish you had Afro Man somewhere on that board.
Because I got high.
I know there's more than an edible that's going on at Mike's house right now. I'm not judging it. I want the tax revenue if I'm a local politician. No, there will be no quarterback. No, that's a dumb one. I was gonna say there's no quarterback that throws 3 touchdowns or more. That's shit. I don't like that. Saquon Barkley will score 2 touchdowns on the ground with a 3rd receiving.
Ooh.
Lock it up.
Wow. Yowza.
That happens. Oh, shit. And for the record, I agree with you, Kyle. None of these quarterbacks will have 3 touchdowns.
God, I can't wait for fucking Josh Allen to be like, look.
Josh Allen, and I took that personally. I feel like that's
well, no, because listen, this isn't about dissing Josh Allen. They're letting James cook. See what I did there?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Josh Allen has like 6 total touchdowns.
Hey, Jim, did my lock go through? Because I went out again.
We heard Jane Daniels would throw 2 picks.
Is that what it was for real?
For 2 picks, yes. That's what
we were able to finish it. We knew where you were going.
Go.
Devin, his lock of the week. We will have a big game rematch from 2 years ago.
Unfortunately,
he's saying Bills. No, I'm kidding.
Well,
how
Bills
about
Washington would be from a few more than 2 years ago, but yes,
that's the joke. No, actually, hey, listen, from 2 years ago, I was at that game.
You were. Mine, a special teams miscue will cause one of the favorites to lose on Sunday.
Well, the Texans aren't playing, so that's safe. Anyways.
Oh, dang.
Shots fired.
Man, it just wasn't necessary. But
it's so goddamn true.
Still funny, though. Still funny. All right. That is where we're going to close up the show for this week. Student of the game, Kyle Nash, let them know where they can follow and listen to you.
Listen, whether I'm being rude or not, I am the student of the game, Kyle Nash. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky Gym. That's right. I'm one of the cool kids. Make sure you check me out there at the SOTG. Find me on Facebook as a student of the game. Check out my writings with the Fans First Sports Network, covering the Orlando Magic and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hey, the coaching search is kicking into another gear there in Jacksonville. We've been talking about it a lot on the Duval Dive, me and my friend Travis D. Holmes, and I've also been writing about it here as well. Look for more on that too. Like I said, Fans First Sports Network, and also following what the hell is going on with the Magic. Good God. Of course, my work covering the black and gold banneret, football and basketball as well. Make sure you check out blackandgoldbanneret.com as well as the Night Shift podcast. Of course, Stu the Game podcast. We may not have had the evil twin Sean Patrick with us tonight, but on the Student of the Game podcast, the evil twin Sean will be in the building talking about his Eagles. Maybe he can, hey, it might be an introductory version of The Shelf. For all we know, he might have to explain the top pick of the Eagles on his listing there too. I don't know. Maybe I preview something. Maybe I'm teasing some things. You know, I would tease Big Sexy over there, Jim. No, it's because you cheer for Marcus Freeman. Settle down. But anyways, with all that being said, an honor, joy, or privilege to do it again. Class dismissed.
You can get Ernest, Earnestly Speaking Podcast, youtube.com/Ernest Christian, at EJ Christian 7 on Twitter, Blue Sky. Go there.
TikTok.
He always posts his stuff. TikTok. So make sure you follow him over there. The internet may have finally met its match for Ernest in South Florida. Mikey B, where can they follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at They Call Me Burn. You can listen to me talk about South Florida baseball, Sunny Days and Double Plays will be making its return this weekend, hopefully, if I can find some time to do a show tomorrow. You can listen to me with my wife. Our first episode is still out. Recording a new episode with her tomorrow. She was under the weather last week, so couldn't really talk. So it was really raspy. We tried to do something, but it didn't come out all that great. So we scrapped that one. Episode 2.
Feel the burn.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. What else do I got? Take 3 Wrestling. Listen to that this Thursday. We're live over on YouTube and on Twitch, twitch.tv/Take3 Wrestling, youtube.com/Take3 Wrestling 2023, I believe is what it is.
I think so.
I think that's what I had to put the tag is. It is our year-end awards, or so elegant we like to call them, the Takeys.
There we go. You can get me at Big Jim Sports on Twitter and Blue Sky, but make sure you go ahead and follow along with the show. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Blue Sky, Twitter, TikTok at Huddle Up Podcast. We are on Instagram at Huddle Up Podcast Inc. We're on Twitch at Huddle Up Inc. You can grab our merchandise over on our TeePublic store. You can get that link, teepublic.com/user/huddle-up-podcast. But make it easier on yourself. Go to our link tree. You can click the merch tab there. You can get us on all podcast platforms, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, everywhere else you can find your podcasts. So make sure you subscribe, rate, review, and tell your friends where you can. But until next week, we will have something maybe, usually Pro Bowl week. We kind of go dark a little bit, but we might still get some content out just to keep the momentum going. 2 weeks we will have our Super Bowl preview. Only a couple of shows left in the live season, but make sure you're following along with it on all those channels. But until the next time we talk to you, stay safe, stay smart, and as always, go for the win.